Hello, and thank you for joining me today for some more thoughts from the Bible. I wonder if you've ever asked yourself, why would God love me? Why would he care for me? Or maybe you recognize that there are plenty of verses and scriptures in the Bible that talk about that love. But at the same time, it's hard to imagine God himself being invested into your individual little life on earth when there are, nearly 8 billion people on this planet. It's easy to question how God could ever be concerned with every single one of them. And yet, he is. I was reminded of this all over again recently when I was reading in the book of Jeremiah. A lot of the prophecies in that particular book of the Bible are massive. They're for huge nations. They concern big groups of people. And quite a lot of them don't have a particularly positive outlook as well. There are some lovely, lovely, amazing, empowering, encouraging verses in Jeremiah, but a lot of it is very dismal and hard to hear. Jeremiah knew this particularly well. He was known as the weeping prophet. And in fact, he wrote a book titled Lamentations, just one big lament for his people, for the situation that they found themselves in. But he wasn't alone in having days where he felt a little bit down about the state of the world, about the messages that he had to bring to the people about what was going to happen to them. His assistant, his scribe, his friend, a man named Barak, had similar moments, we know, where he felt just completely despondent about what was happening. This was the man who Jeremiah dictated many of his long prophecies to, who wrote them down. He even put his own neck on the line, going to read out the prophecies at the temple of the Lord and even to the officials of the king. He knew well the sorts of things that God spoke to Jeremiah about. He may have known them better than anybody other than Jeremiah. And yet, on one particular day, Jeremiah turned to Barak and said this to him in this tiny little chapter of Jeremiah 45. Jeremiah was speaking and he said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says to you, Barak. Here, Barak, is a message from God to you. It's not a message for a king. It's not a message for a nation. It's not a message for some great charismatic leader of people. It's for a scribe. It's for an individual who is struggling right now. It's a message of encouragement, and it is just for you." Isn't that absolutely amazing? The God who was maneuvering nations and accomplishing his purpose among thousands upon thousands of people still cared enough to let one despondent man know that he was going to be okay. I just think that is a huge reassurance to us today. Amidst the billions of people on earth, God still cares for and is still speaking to the individual, just as he always has, just as he always will. You are not a face lost in a crowd of people. You are someone so very, very dear to him that he wants to communicate with you, to have a relationship with you, to encourage you and affirm you and strengthen you and build you up. That is who God is today. There's a song that I really enjoy from a group called Hillsong Worship, and it's called So Will I. It talks about this vastness of creation and about the creator God who made everything that we can see around us. Right at the end, there's a lovely little verse, and it has a line in it which says, "I can see your heart 8 billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. And right at the end, the very last line of that song says, "You're the one who never leaves the one behind." He is, he always, always will be the one who loves the one. If only you could see yourself in his eyes. You are so precious to him and so special. You are not just an anonymous one in a crowd. You are so beloved. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are an incredible work of God's own hands. He cares for you. He loves you. He knows you, and he notices you. I just can't even imagine how it must have felt for Barak in that moment to have a personal message from God that is now written in the Bible for us to read 2,500 years later, to let us know as well how much God cares for and loves each and every individual. But for Barak himself personally being told, you know what, God, he sees your pain. He understands your sorrow. He gets that you are struggling right now. And he has determined that your life is going to be spared in the disaster that is coming. I think that if that was me, that would change the way that I was thinking. You know, okay, yeah, this is hard. This is going to be a difficult time for the nation of Judah. I see that. But suddenly I feel lighter because I know that God cares about me personally, not just about my people, not just my nation, not just the city I'm living in, not this great big crowd of people. He cares about me individually. That thought can change the way that you do your life, because just knowing that God is invested in you and in what you're doing, it changes everything. Knowing that he wants to talk to you, that he wants a relationship with you, not with just anyone, but with you specifically. That is just mind-blowing. And it can change this day for you. It can change this week. It can change the rest of this year and next year too. God loves you. He cares for you. He wants to speak to you personally. You will never, ever, ever be just a face in the crowd. You will never be insignificant because you are significant to God himself. Thank you so much for joining me today for these thoughts from the Bible. I'll be back on Monday with another video, so I will see you then.